Caregiver. It is a Filipino film from 2008. The story centers around a character called Sarah Gonzalez, who is living in Manila, the Philippines, with her family. Her husband has already left for England in pursuit of a better career in the medicine field, and she decides she wants to make a better life for her family and therefore to follow him and hope for more success in England. She goes to join him in London, and initially everything is hunky-dory. They start working, their hours and routines are a bit awkward, slightly antisocial hours, but nevertheless they pursue. Pretty quickly things turn a bit sour. She does encounter a little shoplifting boy who is being bullied, and she tries to help him. She also joins a community of Filipinos in London, especially at a church where she goes. Soon her husband's work is going downhill, and although she is suffering slightly with her own work, she's eventually offered a promotion because her passion and dedication really shine through. At this point, their two paths slightly diverge. The husband, who is trying to make a good life for them even in England, is trying to treat them by getting little gifts and little surprises. But all the while, his career is not going very well, and despite numerous attempts at promotion and speaking to his superiors, he ends up getting the sack and doesn't want to tell her. When the stress amounts to a certain level, she thinks something is wrong. He discusses going back to the Philippines. She's not so keen on that, but he convinces her. When they're off to the airport, she decides to stay in England. He leaves for the Philippines. As soon as she returns to central London, the first person that she encounters is the little boy who started off being a shoplifter, ends up being one of her closest friends. I thought the film was incredibly touching. Over the 2-hour period of time, we go into certain depths with characters. One of the main people that Sarah cares for is an elderly man who starts off being rather rude and merciless, and eventually they really get close together, and he opens up with her. Eventually they really warm up to each other. He opens up, he welcomes her into his life, and she really helps him through some of the last darker phases of his time, which is something that his son especially really appreciates. So she knows that she's made a big difference already in England within her career. Unfortunately, that is not quite the same experience that her husband had, and therefore she thinks that it's her duty to stay on in England and be apart from him. Performance-wise, we have in the leading role Sharon Cuneta. She's a wonderful Filipino actress. I have been so mesmerized by her performance. She was believable, she was authentic, she was natural, she flowed, and the story really works because of her, thanks to her. Her husband is played by John Estrada, who is also a very good actor, playing a slightly darker role, slightly less variety, a little bit more melancholic in this film, supporting her as a character, but also his role held up, and the film works as well because they're a good solid couple. They work very nicely together, and the story works because you empathise with their characters quite a lot. The weaknesses of the film are numerous. First and foremost, it is shot nicely, but it does feel like a 1990s film, not a 2008 film. It's shot fairly naturalistically, certainly the outdoor sequences, but when it comes to indoors, there is little sense of continuity, and therefore it's a little bit jarring. It does feel a bit dated. My biggest issue, however, is not within the photography. It's to do with the supporting actors. We have a very strong Filipino cast, be it the original cast in the Philippines in Manila, or the Filipino actors who are present in London. But the supporting characters, the London-based British supporting characters, especially medical professionals in the hospital, playing medical professionals, I found nearly every single performance wooden. I found the delivery of lines as if they were reading a script, not performing. I was rather disappointed. I thought they found such a great leading lady, and she's really pulling this story through so nicely, so convincingly. Why are the supporting actors so flat and rather empty? I think overall, despite the clash in performance skills, the film holds nicely. The story is interesting, the story is heartwarming. We feel for certain characters more than others, but we certainly feel for the central characters and the journey that they are undergoing. I feel that if there were some better performances surrounding the main characters, especially from the British actors, the film would have held up a lot better. I would have been more emotional, I would have been more engaged in the realism of the situation. That is a weakness, but the story nevertheless prevails. One thing that I like, on top of everything, aside from the performances, is the very fact that the story is such a real, true story. It's a story about so many immigrants who come from different parts of the world, be it the Philippines, be it India, be it rural Australia, China, anywhere else. And they have ambitions. Perhaps their careers were already reasonably advanced in their local native countries. And when they come into a new country, be it the US or be it England in this case, their actual status, their actual skill set is not recognised. And that is something that, to a degree or another, I've also experienced and I've witnessed. So it is a really realistic insight into how the British caste system treats foreign nationals when they're coming in, when they're immigrating from a different country into England. I wouldn't say everyone is treated the same way, but certainly the majority, and in the case of this film, it is stated that 150,000 Filipino workers have come into the country, been misunderstood, been underappreciated, and as a result caused them severe stress, in some cases the lack of wanting to stay in England and return to their own country. So in that sense, it's a very powerful moral. It's a good story that really makes you feel for her, for the lead character, and you feel that she's making a difference, and you feel that she is gaining the happiness that she needs and that she wants to then share with her son, who is still in the Philippines. So to summarise, we've got Sharon, who is one of the best leading actresses that I've seen, delivering a really staggering performance, really thoroughly believable and engaging performance. A very good story with a very strong moral lesson for everyone to take and learn from. Some slightly weaker elements with photography and with supporting characters, but overall sufficiently good enough film for me to give it a solid 6 out of 10.